Hi, welcome to Science Chomp. Today we're going to be looking at glycolysis. Now this is part of respiration that doesn't occur in the mitochondria. It occurs in the cytoplasm of cells and it happens in the absence of oxygen. The whole point of it is to take glucose, which is a big 6-carbon hexagonal shaped molecule, and convert it into something known as pyruvate. Pyruvate itself gets converted into something called acetyl coenzyme A. Now the name coenzyme suggests that it's a non-protein compound that is required for biological activity. Okay, so anyway, let's have a look at what happens during glycolysis. So here we've got glucose. Remember, this is a 6-carbon compound, and what happens is it gets phosphorylated. And what I mean by that is you have 2 molecules of ATP that come along, and it gets converted into 2 molecules of ADP, and the PI gets reacted with the glucose. So you got your 2PI reacting with the glucose to form something known as hexose bisphosphate. Hexose bisphosphate. Now, depending on what curriculum you're looking at, sometimes they won't mention this and they'll tell you the bit which comes after, because this gets hydrolyzed and it forms 2 molecules of triose phosphate. Triose phosphate. Triose meaning it's now 2 3-carbon molecules. Okay, so you got triose phosphate here, triose phosphate there. Okay, so just to recap, this bit is called phosphorylation because you're adding phosphate to the glucose, okay, to form hexose bisphosphate, okay, which then gets hydrolyzed, so you're adding water to this bit, okay, so water is coming in and it's being added to that to form the triose phosphate, okay. Very important to note that it uses up 2 ATP at this stage, okay. The next step is oxidation. So let's have a look at that. Okay, now remember we're starting off with 2 times triose phosphate. Okay, before I go into this, you have to know something about oxidation. Oxidation, if you haven't looked up oil rig, look it up. Oil rig stands for oxidation is loss of electrons and hydrogen, and reduction is gain of electrons and hydrogen, okay? So oil rig, so remember that. I'll do a video on that later on. Okay, anyway, you got the triose phosphate, and this bit, remember, is called oxidation. So what's happening is we're gonna now have 4 ADP plus PI, and it's going to get converted into 4 ATP, okay? Now, as it does this, this molecule here, or these 2 molecules, it loses their hydrogen, okay? And there's another molecule, it's a coenzyme called NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. And this absorbs the hydrogen and it turns into, oh, by the way, we have 2 of those, turns into 2NADH, okay? Can you read that? I'm not sure. Let's write that again. Okay, so you end up with 2NADH, okay? So the important things are that we get 4 ATP coming out, 2 NADH. NADH is used in the electron transport chain, and it basically makes more ATP. ATP, remember, we got 4 coming out, but we had 2 going in the phosphorylation stage. Okay, remember, this is the oxidation stage because we're losing hydrogen. Okay, anyway, as this occurs, this turns into two molecules of pyruvate. Pyruvate enters the Krebs cycle, also known as the citric acid cycle, depending on where you're from and what you call it. And that's glycolysis in a nutshell. I hope that made sense, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, goodbye.